makers, I'm really excited to get to talk to you about this Christmas project that has been several years in the making. I started this last year in 2021 and I didn't finish it, and so I just kind of set it aside. And then when this year rolled around, I knew it was just the perfect year, and the reason why I probably didn't get to it is because I needed something that was released this year and that we didn't have last year. So it's just perfect. This is my candy cart, and I am looking forward to getting into all the details. But before I do, I just want to apologize ahead of time for how chaotic the tutorial will be for this. I was in the throes of making, and so I was just trying to videotape whatever I could videotape in the midst of just chaotic making here in my studio and trying to meet a deadline. And so I had several projects going at once, and I was trying to remember which one I'd videotaped and what I'd said, and I had, you know, bits of the other ones all in the background and an absolute mess all over my desk. So you got complete behind the scenes of this, my Christmas projects this year, because it was just so chaotic. So I hope, and that's been my hope with all three of my videos my video tutorials for my Christmas projects for ideologies, I sincerely hope that there's at least something that, if you can slog through it with me, I hope that there's something that you can take away from each one of them that will spark something in your own mind as you are making for the season, for your own projects and things like that. So I'm not going to wait any longer. Let's go ahead and get into the chaotic tutorial, and then at the end we'll come back and we'll wrap it up and I'll talk about all the details. These are some of the things I'm going to be using to make the candy cart. So I'm using two of the, this is the third smallest. So there's the large, there's the kind of medium, there's the small, and then there's the tiny one. And so this is the small vignette box, and I have two of them. And you may have noticed that one of them is missing a side, and that's because on my candy cart, what I would like, I'm going to have the pulley wheels under it so it rolls. And then what I want to do is have this one be on top, and it's going to hold some candy and some things like that in there. And then on the bottom, I would like to have the matchboxes in here as drawers. So I'm going to have to build up around it and in between them so that they are out in the front, and then I can pull them with hitch fasteners. And so if you see, when you take off this side, and all I did was grab it and pop it off, it just pops right off. So if you look, you can see that, of course, it's 1/4 inch thinner than the one above it. So I'm going to have to take some chipboard strips, and I'm going to have to build up all around it, and then in back of the matchboxes and in between them, because you don't want them right next to each other. And then I'll be able to pull the drawers out. So I'm going to do a little engineering with that. And then on the top, and I hope it doesn't look funny with the teeny tiny wheels. I hope that still looks okay. But on the top, I bought some balsa wood. It just comes in a package like this. There's a bunch of different sizes of strips, and even some that are about, looks like they're like 3 by 12 or 3 by 10. So you get this. So what is that? Oh, this is, yeah, about 10 inches long. So there are a couple sizes I pulled out, and once I get it built, I'll decide, but I'm going to cut some pieces that will go in the corners here. And so this one's square, and then this one's much thinner, and this one actually might work the best. And then this one's a little bit thicker and could go in the corners also. So I'm going to need something in all 4 corners that's going to hold up the little canopy that goes over. And the canopy is going to be built with some chipboard, and then I'm going to do some edging with the etc. trims, the scalloped ones. So those are going to kind of go around the top. And then I'll decorate it, put some baseboard paper on it, and a bunch of candy and some things like that that this person would be selling at, say, a Christmas market. So that's where I'm going with this. So I'm going to go ahead and just start cut it. And actually, I may, instead of other things, I may use some of the balsa wood. That might work also, because it's almost as thick as that. So that might be kind of a quick, easy solution rather than cutting a bunch of chipboard. So yeah, maybe I'll do that. All right, so I'm going to get this built up, and then when I come back, hopefully I will have it to a point where I can attach the top box and, you know, get going on the canopy. All right, so let's talk about what I have done so far. And so I used all kinds of sizes of the balsa wood that I had in the whole packet. And some of it is really kind of, it's like cutting through kind of a thick foam. Like this looks like it would be difficult to cut through, but really I just cut through it with my scissors, my Tim Holtz scissors. And, you know, it worked really well. And then when I got to the center, I just broke off that little bit, and then you can just use your scissors to trim it up. So I put 2 thicknesses of this balsa wood into the top box. And then I put the some of these in this way. And so those are going to hold the canopy. And then this one, let me move all these bits and pieces that I used. So I used the square ones in the back to be able to push the matchboxes up closer to the front. And then I just built up on the sides so that the matchboxes would fit inside and be a little bit separated. There's a little thin piece that is between them. And then I built up around the outside edge so that when I get this on, you can see that it is flush to the front. And so then when I cover this with paper, I'm just going to cut a little X through here and just wrap the paper in, and then I'll put the drawers back in. So that's how that's going to work. And I hope it looks okay on the little wheels, and then it doesn't look too funny. So after all this work, let's hope. This is the candy cart project, and this is how far I am. So as you can see, it does roll, and I'm going to have to cut these off because I don't want it to be that tall. But so my drawers work, and what I need to do now is I'm going to cover this bottom part, and I think I'm going to cover it with, my original plan was to paint it, but I feel like I want to cover it with this paper just because it's a candy cart and I think it's whimsical. And then it pulls this in, and then I'm going to put around these the red to go with all the red candy. So I'll be putting these around the poles and probably inside, I'm not sure yet, but I just think that those go well together, and I think it'll be a fun look. So I'm going to start covering this. So I'll be taking these out, and then as I start to cover it, what I'll do is I will just kind of cut X's in here, and then I'm going to open it. Hang on, my cat just came in and he's going to make a big mess, so just a sec. As I was saying, I'll be covering this with a piece of paper, a solid piece of paper here, and then on the sides and the back. And then to make the drawers open, I'm going to cut an X in here, and then I will just fold the paper over. So hopefully it will cover all this, and it'll just look like a solid square for me to, and hopefully these will still fit in there. It's a little tight, so I'm not sure, but I'm going to give it a shot. All right, then these will be open, and so you can see that the back's not completely covered. It's okay, that won't be open that far. So these will be open, and I'm going to have the different sizes of the thimbles in there with stuff coming out of them. And again, I don't know what I'm going to have coming out of them yet, so I'm just going to stick something in there very quickly. And then, so those might be, I don't know what yet. You know what? I might make the rock candy. Maybe I'll do that. Christmas rock candy, I might do that. So then I covered some of the vials with some, you can do glossy accents. You could do translucent crackle paint. whatever you want. I used last year's, I think it was Icicle. And I'm just in this disaster that I have here. I'm looking for it and I can't find it right now. Oh, here it is. I used last year's Icicle crackle paste. And I just rubbed it all over, and then I spritzed it with my Distress Rock Candy glitter. And I also used that crackle paste to stick down the peppermint drops from the Ephemera on there. So this will go in here. This one is a piece of the Ephemera. It's a long strip, and I cut it in half. And then where it didn't quite meet, I used one of the 22 for 25 seals on it. And then I did the same thing, just used my fingers, covered it with the crackle paste, the Icicle crackle paste, and then glittered it. And that will go in there. And then I made a couple of longer ones. I'm not sure what I'm putting in these. So these have a lot of glitter on the outside of them. And these I used stickers from the sticker book for those. And I have a little one that I haven't done anything to yet. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do on this one. And I may just make some sort of a little tag or something like that to put on it. That might be too big, so I might have to use it on one of those. But I might just put a little tag on there. And then I cut up one of the peppermint sticks, and so that's what's going to go in there, a little peppermint. All right, makers, here is the latest update. So I'm talking about the candy cart in this segment, and then I will film about the other ones because they will be in a different tutorial. So right now I'm just going to talk about this one that's in front. So this is the candy cart, and so I have the wheels colored just a little bit. So on the inside and the outside, I colored this little attachment brad and then the kind of arms here, but I left the wheels just the gray color that they are. And so you've already seen that these come out, and I'm going to put some stuff in there. And then candy dispensary thing that I made out of a snow globe. And I painted a little bit of detail on some of those corks that I put brads and things in. These two I filled with some of the paper from that candy paper right there. So I just kind of cut it up and put it in there so it would look kind of like there's candy sticks in there. And then some of them, I was trying to decide if I was going to use these or not. But I rolled some of the paper up so that I could make some candy sticks. Sometimes, and if you wrap it in cellophane, sometimes it just looks like a little candy stick. What I also did was I put handles for the cart to be pushed. And these are the knives from the Silverware Adornments, and I just bent it, is all, and glued it on with Distress Collage Medium. So I'll probably put some hardware heads on there so that it looks a little more hardware-y. The back is just paper. So, and the sides just paper. And then I went ahead and covered those sticks in paper here and covered this with some of that same green stripe that the drawers are in. And then here at the top, I took and I measured these so that they were all 4 inches tall. And then I attached some of the large scallop, etc. trim from the scallop packet. So I attached the large size to the top, and I cut it so they're 4 inches by 3 inches on the ends. And then what I'm going to do, and I painted it green so that if you're looking on the inside, you'd see that it's green. But also I wanted the sides green, and then I'm going to be attaching paper to it and trimming it off. So I'm going to be attaching the green striped paper. It'll match the front of the drawers. So I'm going to do that all the way around and then on. So I'm going to put these on, and then it will cover up most of the green stripe that I'll be putting on these. So you'll just see a little bit down here at the bottom. So I'll be attaching the red paper, and it will go over the green, and there will just be a little bit of a green reveal. And before I attach the red, I want to go ahead and put a 3x4 piece of chipboard just across the top, and I'm going to cover it with my extra either this candy paper or probably the green stripe paper. Most likely I'll just put across the top, cut a piece and attach it to the chipboard up there. And then when I add the red, I can put it up a little bit, and it will cover any raw edges of that chipboard. And then for the end down here, I think it was kind of plain. So from the candy paper over here, you can see there's a hole in the middle of it, and I cut this out that says world famous candies. So I might put that on the front. Continuing on the work with the candy cart that I'm working on. So I have for the candy dispenser, I guess, I alcohol inked the baubles. And so the way you do that, you put it in, I just get these cups with lids from the party section at the Dollar Tree. And then right now I have some mica flakes in there, but I started with just an empty cup, and I put baubles in there, and then I put the other half in another cup. I put several drops of crimson alcohol ink, and then put the lid on, and then you just rotate it like this and let the baubles kind of go around and around and around. And then I dumped them out on the lid, let them dry. Then while they were drying on the lid, I put some mica flakes in the same one, put a few more drops of crimson alcohol ink, and then stirred it like that so that I could get all the mica flakes colored. And then I'll talk about what I did with those in a minute. And then the same thing with the green. So I colored the baubles, put them on the lid to dry, and then I did the mica flakes in green. So then to use them, and then I also did one larger of the baubles, so that when I put them in here and I glue this in place, they will kind of go around and it looks fuller than it is. All right, and then you can't even tell actually that I have that one in the bottom because all the little ones kind of go around there. So I'm going to glue that in place, and also the little handle, which is here, and I'll put that in place as well. And I should be pretty much done with this piece at that point. All right, so I just wanted to update you on how I did that. And then right now I am working on my rock candy sticks. So I just years ago I bought these kind of they're round toothpicks, and I cut the pointy end off usually, and they have this little decorative end which you end up not seeing, but so I cut off the pointy end, and there's a couple ways you can do this. Okay, so if you put your mica flakes in the lid after they've kind of dried, and so you can see how they are nice and green. And the green I used is Everglades alcohol ink for that one. And then I take glossy accents and I just put it all around on the end of one of the toothpicks, and you want to cover up that end. And you usually have to do this twice at least, but then you take and you just roll it and pick up just like that, and then you let it dry. So you just let it dry, and then I have some of the red ones over here that are just about ready to go. And these are going to need the second roll through, and you can see there are some areas that's why sometimes I need a second roll through. All right. So that's how I make the rock candy. All right, as you know, I am working on several things at once. And so the candy cart is looking like this. And I thought it would be fun. I was looking through some of the collage tiles, and I found these that had candies on them. And they are a different size than the paper that's in the backdrops. This is the size of the candy on the backdrops. So it's a bit bigger than the ones in the collage tiles. And I made little boxes out of them that I could put on here as like boxes of candies that they sell. Doing that. So let's go ahead and make one. So let me, I'll do this one. And here's how I do. I have my little scoreboard out here. And I am going to, so you can see it's 1.5 inches, and I scored at 1/4 inch all the way around. And you can hear my cat Leota. She thinks that I should stop and just pay attention to her right now. Okay. So you just do that. And then I went ahead and did that all the way around. And then when you turn it over, you take, and I clipped, and I didn't clip all the way to the edge. So I am clipping on the outside and then almost to the edge. So clip on the outside, and I'm calling this the outside because you can see here's so this is actually going to fold in. And so you want it a little shorter because it's going to fold in. And so I went around and I did that on all sides. So you can see that my score mark is to the left, and then I will fold that up. So that's how I'm going to put it together. So I'm going to put a little bit of collage medium. There we go. And fold it up. And you can hold it until it sets, or what I've kind of been doing is taking my squeezers and sticking it on there. And then that kind of holds it in place for me. I know, Leota. My cat Leota is named after the Disney Imagineer Leota Toombs, who worked on the Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean. Her daughter is now lead Imagineer at Disneyland, and her granddaughter is even an Imagineer. And her great-granddaughter is named Leota after her. So that's who Leota's named after, because she was rescued from the Disney Ranch here in Santa Clarita. Okay, so that's pretty good. And then I'm going to keep going around. I'm not going to make you watch me. I'll do it in fast forward so I can get it finished. It's finished, and super cute little package. It's going to be adorable. But if you look, there are some areas, whoops, where it is popped up just a little bit because I didn't get it completely even. It's okay. Nobody's going to see that. Just trim it off. It's fine. And so you can kind of go around. You can trim any of those that are popping up. I just have the one side. Okay, and that's cool. I don't think anybody's going to see the back side, but let's just do it anyway because it's super cute. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do the 1/4 inch again. And then on this one, I'm going to try and fold it over clear at the farthest in edge of the scoring. My scoring's kind of wide, and so I want to get it at the farthest in edge. And then on this one, I'm going to cut it right on the scoring. And I'm going to cut it right up to that scored line. And I'm going to do the same thing, so I'll fast forward this. Now this one's finished, and you can see that I was trying to make sure that I did it a little more tightly than this one I attached a little more loosely than this one. So this one's a little tighter, and so I'm going to trim off a couple of those that are sticking out that way, and then any of them that are sticking up this way again. And I may have to trim it down a little bit more to fit inside, but that's fine. So let's see. We have a little bit sticking out here, a little bit here. So let me make sure I got all those. Okay. And then let's see. So there we go. It fits right inside. And if you wanted to, you can make the inside box first, and then you could attach these on the outside. I can show you how to do that with the smaller one, but basically, if it wasn't attached, let's see if this is still wet enough that I can get it apart. So basically, if it wasn't attached, okay, so we'll just pretend that that wasn't attached at all, and that we made the bottom box first. So then you can put the box in, and then put your glue on your flap. Fold it, and then press that down. And then you just have to hold it and wait for it. And then you're going to go all the way around doing that, so that you'll fold the flaps in and attach them all the way around that way. All right, and there you go. You have your little package all ready to have some string tied around it. You can even add an additional tag if you'd like, or a little bit of greenery, or die cut a little bit of holly or something out from another one and stick it on there. I think it's just adorable, and all it needs is a little bow tied on it. And I just use some twine or some thread, and you're good to go. On this candy thing, I have to paint them still, but I put Hitch fasteners on the bottom of it. And so I'm going to paint it the brushed pewter again. Hitch fasteners for the knob and also for the feet on that. So that's where I am with that one. So this one, I have to put snow around the top still and do a little bit more filler, and then I'm pretty much done with this. And then I don't know if I showed you that I put the world famous candies on the front of it. But I cut that out of the middle of the baseboard, or I keep calling these that, the backdrops paper. So I just went through and cut that off. So I think that looks really cute. All right, well, this is the final project. So let's talk about it. All right, so this is kind of the front of the piece, I guess, if you would want to call it that. So this is how the drawers turned out. And then I went back and I actually added some paper to the sides, because when they're sticking out, you don't want to see the Matchbox cardboard. So I did go ahead and do that. I attached the thimbles into the fronts of the drawers, and they do actually still pull out if I want them to. I made the rock candy sticks, I glittered my peppermint sticks, and I glittered my candy canes. And then I added a few things here. So the way that I did it was I wanted it to be for each side. So I wanted each side to kind of show something, so that if it was sitting, say, on a desk or something like that, and people came up from different sides, there would be something interesting on each side. So on this side, we have, of course, the interesting candies here. And then, you know, my little canopy with the snow on it, little pine twine around all of the canopy sides. And then, of course, those fun wheels that I painted, the little pulley wheels. But if you look in here, you can see that I added a piece of ephemera that I cut down. So it was a fairly big sign, and I cut it down, and it says pure sugar. And then I just added some more of my peppermint sticks inside there, added one of those little, this is still the cork, and remember I just added a Hitch fastener to the top of it to make those. Painted it silver, and I painted the lip silver. And then these, I think this is maybe one of my favorite parts of this make, are those little candy boxes that I made from the collage tiles. Then I wrapped some little string around it and added a tiny piece of pine twine to the front of it. And I think that is so cute, and it looks like something that, like, if you went into See's Candy or whatever, that you would grab a box of the decorative, you know, candy to give to a coworker or a friend or a family member or something. So I really think that's fun. Now, if we turn this way, these are the handles, and these are the Adornments silverware knives. And so I just bent them at a 90-degree angle, attached them with some collage medium, and then I went back and just put hardware heads over the top and painted those red, and I painted the handles red, so that's pushing the push cart. And one of these are the corked vials, and so those are still available. So that's what all these jars are from the corked vials. And I cut out this little bit of holly from one of the collage tiles. So you can look at the collage tiles and see if there's something in them that you find interesting. And sometimes you can just cut out a little something and add it as a decor piece. Okay, turning to what I would kind of consider the back, but it might be other people, the front, when they walked up. I found this in the ephemera, and so I thought that was kind of cute, stuck it on the side. And then more of the corked vials throughout. Some of them I added the corks, and some of them I didn't. And then little bits from the ephemera packs. And, you know, I just used anything from the stickers. I think this is one of from the sticker booklet. This is an ephemera, and some more just bits of paper and things cut from the collage tiles. And then I added a couple of the candies down in here. There's some snow in there. And then this was a super fun make that I showed. So I turned one of last year's snow globes into a candy dispenser, and I used my Dremel to drill out a hole. This is a Hitch fastener. And then I put a bunch of those baubles in there so that you could turn that and then have candy come out. Stuck a few more of those candy things in there. And then I think this is the best. On the front, it says world famous candies. As I showed, I cut that out of that backdrop that has all the candy sticks on it. And then this I cut out from one of those collage tiles as well. So there's so many cute little things that you could fussy cut very quickly and put on there. The pine twine has some grit paste snowfall on it after I just wound it around there, as well as the top has some grit paste snowfall, and I put it all over on the little cart and inside the cart, so that when you're looking at the candy, you can see that there is some snowfall, and it's all glittery and icy looking, as if the cart got left out overnight and it got very cold. So I know it was 2 years, or you know, over a year in the making, I guess, but I really had a lot of fun just kind of dreaming up some things to put into my candy cart. And I'm so glad that we had the candy canes to add to it this year. And there's so many fun things you could do to this if you have Copic markers, and you could do, you know, the lines in between and add the green lines. Like I know Disneyland has green lines in with their candy canes, so they have the red and the green and the white. So you could, you know, add that to kind of pull in some of the green. You know, just so many fun different things that you could add to this. And you know what, if you really wanted to, you could also add lights. So that would be really fun, because there's room in this top box where you could add lights. And so anyway, I hope that you found something in this make to be inspiring as you get started on your Christmas project and Christmas decor pieces. If I didn't cover something or missed discussing something and you want some clarification or have some questions, please contact me through my blog at playswellwithpaper.blogspot.com. Thank you so much for coming along with me on my chaotic Christmas makes, and I hope that you all have a very creative day.